So it's May. It's time for a garden tour. I actually recorded a 25-minute garden tour this afternoon, and then when I sat down to edit it, I realized that I had my phone, I record on my phone, and I realized that my phone was in the wrong orientation. And because of the way that I am, I did not want to upload a YouTube video with the orientation being vertical. So I am re-recording this garden tour. But maybe this time I can actually get it under 25 minutes. We'll see. Here are the ducks. I actually didn't have this tripod earlier, so the video was like super shaky. So it should be all around better quality now that I have this and it's evening. So I'm actually going to get the ducks some food, and then I'm going to take you guys with me while I water the garden. And I'll do the tour as I do my evening chores, so stay tuned. Okay, so I just went in the house, got the ducks their evening meal. I'm going to put it out for them, and then I refill their water bowl. And then they come running and they see I have the food. So yeah, I'm going to refill their food bowl, their water bowl, and then I'm going to start watering the garden and taking you guys on the tour. I'm just starting to pick up a little bit, so hopefully you can hear me clearly. But I actually hand water everything with this little hose wand, this little wand on the end of the hose. In this bed are the gladiola, which I planted back in February, and I thought they would at least have stalks by now, but they don't. So I'm guessing they don't actually start getting stalks until the summer. So I have the gladiola, I have a few heads of lettuce, Shasta daisies, runner beans, Japanese red mustard over there, a kale, and that's a cucumber plant. This is the very beginning of the garden. I'll show you guys just like a full spectrum view. It's much easier to see everything now that the sun is behind the house. Earlier it was kind of hard, so I should probably start doing these in the evening anyways. So it was a blessing in disguise. But here's how everything is looking. So that was the gladiola bed. We're gonna go here and then work our way under the tunnel to those raised beds over there, and then we'll head to the raised beds towards the back. Over here I have some collard greens. Actually, their season is about over. I didn't actually harvest any of those for us to eat. I was giving them to the ducks because they got caterpillars pretty bad, but I wanted to grow the collard greens just to know that I could grow them, and then also to harvest seeds. And then over there, some more Japanese red mustard, some snow peas, the poppies, which are coming to the end of their season also. I'm definitely going to try to start some from seed. We have the Swiss chard, which the ducks got into this past week. And then there's some runner beans that are kind of being overshadowed by the collard greens. And yes, I am watering overhead, and I know for some people that's a faux pas because of powdery mildew. I've never experienced powdery mildew here. It is extremely dry. The humidity is usually less than 5%, so extremely dry. And I like to put water on some of the leafy stuff just to wash off aphids, to get the heat off of them after they've been in New Mexico sun all day. The UV rays here are very intense. So a lot of the leafy greens are wilted by midday. So I do like to kind of just give them some relief by spraying them off in the evening. Here we have some buckwheat. I've been cutting off of this for cut flowers, and I've been absolutely loving the buckwheat as filler. I'm definitely going to let some of these go to seed and then also order more seed as well. I have a couple random pro-cut sunflowers that I put over here, and I did plant some nasturtium seeds right at the base of the sunflower so that they can kind of line up the side of this trellis. So I'm excited to see when those germinate. So yeah, when I put these buckwheat seeds out, I spread them out, but they end up clumped together in groups, and I just find that very interesting. don't know if it's because of the way I water, and then they kind of settle into certain indentations in the soil, but yeah. So over here, I have some more romaine lettuce. My strawberries are over here. Some of them are doing really well. Some of them have died. Aphids have attacked this bed really badly, and I think it's because of these Extrador bok choy. The aphids love the brassicas, and I stopped watering these overhead. I started just getting the soil, but when I did that, it's when the aphid pressure got really bad. Now, when I first put this raised bed in, I was noticing lots of ants. And what I have noticed about this area in my backyard is that the ants bring the aphids. We get so many ants, and I think in and of itself the ants aren't detrimental, but once they start bringing the aphids, like, the plants just suffer so bad. And I want to leave these extra dwarf bok choy in the bed so that I can harvest seed, just because these Asian greens, I'm just trying to get them acclimated to the climate here. So by saving my own seed, I can pretty much guarantee that I'll have something that's acclimated to the climate and won't suffer so much during the heat of the summer, because I'm going to try to replant these in the summer so that I can have them ready in the fall. They should come to maturity in the fall, so they should do really well once it's cooled down. Okay, let's take a look over here. I am going kind of fast, just because I did this earlier, and so I don't know, I'm not discouraged or anything, but I'm like, I already did this once, but I'm going to do it again. So over here, I have some cinnamon basil. These are tomato plants. These are determinate bush Roma tomatoes. And I'll bring you guys in a little bit closer so you can see. I have my first tomatoes here, so I'm super excited. It's getting windier, but they're so cute. They will get bigger than this. Like I said, they're Roma tomatoes. I got a disease-resistant variety from the Dollar Tree, and actually their seeds have really awesome germination. So the seed packet was 25 cents, and they were some of the best germination of any seed packet I have ever purchased. We have some Swiss chard here. These are French breakfast radishes, more Swiss chard. These are snow peas, and then there's a cucumber on this side that once it starts to mature, I'm gonna intertwine it on this vine. Loving the color of this poppy. So there were 3 more poppy plants in this bed, and I saved the seeds from one of them, and then I'll probably save the seeds from this orange one, and then there was a white one over on the other side of that tomato that has dropped its petals, and I plan on saving the seeds from that. I'm just gonna get these pea plants. These have grown extremely quickly. So these pea plants I actually just harvested off of on Friday, and today is Sunday, and they've already grown quite a bit. You can see how tall they are, and they were just harvested from a couple days ago, and they're starting to their tendrils are starting to wrap around this trellis. I don't know how far they're actually making up the trellis, because I don't know how snow peas do in very hot weather, and we get very hot here, like in the hundreds. So right now it's in the 80s to mid 80s, and they're still thriving. So if I can keep them long enough to get actual peas, that would be awesome, or long enough for them to really start to trellis up this trellis. That would be really cool too, because I can't wait until this trellis is full of foliage. If the peas die back before they can climb very high, what I'm gonna plant here is probably either more cucumbers or Kajari melons, or maybe a sugar baby watermelon. So let's take a look at these raised beds back here. I'm gonna show you guys my strawberries really quickly, and there's a couple of the plants I'm very pleased with because they've grown some delicious strawberries, and then there's a couple that I'm like sad to show you, but I'm gonna show you. You win some, you lose some. So let's look at the strawberry bed real quick with the bok choy, and you can see that I really need to weed, and you can see like I need to harvest strawberries also. I'll probably do that tomorrow, but some of these beautiful looking planting strawberries, and then this plant, I don't know if it got super burnt or was killed by the aphids or was underwatered or was overwatered. I have no idea. This one you can see is yellowing a little bit, and I might need to fertilize. I tried to mulch with some sunflower leaves. You can see they're just kind of in here, kind of dry. So I'll probably keep trying to do that, and then I'll fertilize, and I need to harvest, obviously. But I don't know what kind of strawberries these are. These were gifted to me. But what I can say is that next year I definitely want to grow lots and lots of strawberries. This was my first time trying homegrown strawberries, and grocery store strawberries pale in comparison. Homegrown is so good. And then to harvest them in the middle of the day at their peak sweetness, like, as long as I have a garden, I will grow strawberries. In this bed, I have 3 more Roma tomatoes. I have some calendula, which this is not the season for them. They should have been planted in the winter, and then they would be huge right now, but maybe they will grow through the summer and then bloom for me in the fall. These are Apricot Asters. These are so beautiful. They almost look like pink lemonade. That's our air conditioner in the background, so sorry about that. But hopefully you guys can hear me. The Apricot Asters I also planted in the wrong season. As lovely as they are, they're supposed to be way taller to use for cut flowers. But I am enjoying their beauty in the garden, and I will be saving seed from them and trying them again. I will probably plant another round in the next week or so. I hope you guys can hear me. I will be planting another round in the next week or so, and then hopefully they'll grow for me through the summer and then bloom in the fall. But they're so pretty. They honestly are like the cutest light pink color. And then over here I have some romaine lettuce, and then those are calendula over there. So this is a really fun speckled red and green. And then at the base of the tomatoes I have some more French breakfast radishes that should probably be thinned, but I'm not going to thin them. I'm just going to harvest them in cycles and then hope that they're able to mature that way. The reason why I haven't been thinning them is because when I planted the radishes in the ground, the pill bugs were getting them really, really badly. And I have noticed that the pill bugs haven't been in the raised bed, so I probably could have thinned them, but I just didn't want to spend the time. Okay, over here I have lots more romaine lettuce. I want to try to grow lettuce through the summer, and I've been watching different YouTube videos on the best way to grow lettuce through the summer, especially in a hot, dry climate. So the first key is succession planting, which I have been doing and plan to keep doing. So I really should be starting more lettuce every couple of weeks. So the next round of lettuce I'm going to start is Butter Crunch. Behind the lettuce is 3 more Roma tomatoes. And then I have some cinnamon basil over here. And then this right here is lemon balm and a hollyhock. So the lemon balm, I had been putting it a little bit in making a tea out of it, and it was very enjoyable. So I'm really hoping the lemon balm just takes over. I think it's in, I think I read that someone said that lemon balm is in the mint family, so it really spreads, and I hope that that is the case, because I would love an entire bed full of lemon balm, and then that way I can start making my own fresh and dry tea. Okay, so I'm going to finish watering this one and then take you guys to the next few beds. Okay, so I don't know if anyone who's watching this channel also watches this other YouTube channel called You Can't Eat the Grass. So their names are Ian and Serena, and they're husband and wife, and they farm in Canada, and basically their videos were one of the reasons why I wanted to start my own garden and try my hand at doing it a more intense scale, which is what a lot of people would call micro farming or market gardening. So in their farm tours, they always have these cool montages of different things that are growing, and they have like close-ups and really like jamming music playing in the background. And I was going to try to do that, and I got some footage for collages or montages, not a collage. I got some footage for a montage of like some of the stuff in my garden, but I deleted it all because it wasn't in the right orientation. So I don't feel like re-recording it. So maybe you guys will get a cool montage for the June garden tour. So right now I'm watering my zucchini, and I'll show you guys how it's looking. Here's my zucchini, and honestly, I probably did a little bit of a blunder because I planted this into compost from a big box store. And I don't know if the compost was completely finished or not. Someone said, oh, if it's from a big box store, it's probably not finished. So there are some like burns on the plants, you can see. And they were like super yellow for a little while. So I think they might have gotten a little bit burnt from the compost, but I think now that maybe their roots have gotten a little bit deeper, they're starting to green up. I didn't add anything. I just thought I'll let them be, and if they make a comeback, awesome. If they don't, I'll just start more seeds, and then I'll top this bed off with soil to kind of break up the compost, or I'll just top it off with some native soil, which is like this sandy clay type stuff. But these are the zucchini. They're all dark green, and most of them are starting to flower. I believe all of these are male flowers. And then I interplanted some zinnias in between. So the zinnias are still like super small. But I'm hoping that they'll get big enough to kind of give a little bit of shade to the zucchini. So because I was noticing that midday, the zucchini were wilting a lot from the heat. So since zinnia are heat-loving flowers, hopefully they'll shade them out a little bit and provide them a little bit of relief midday once it gets to that point. And then right there, I just have a random dahlia. Okay, we're gonna go look over here. These are my sunflower beds, and we're gonna go all the way to that far one. Okay, for the sake of time, I'm just gonna show you a quick overview of all my sunflower beds and not get too in depth into them because they're sunflowers. As beautiful as they are, they're sunflowers. So let's look at all the beds. I have 3 of them right now. One, which is 12 feet long. I'm starting to mulch with shredded paper to see if that's a possibility of something I could do consistently. I have this sunflower bed, which is starting to bloom. This was my second succession. This was my first succession, and you can see that it's pretty well spent. There's a couple in there that I can cut tomorrow morning. I try not to cut in the evening because usually the ants like to make their way up the stalks in the evening. So in the morning, there's usually no ants on anything, and I can cut everything without having to deal with ants. So you can see I might not be able to cut this one because there's some little critters in there, but there's a few left in here that I can cut, maybe like 4 or 5. And then you can see these are starting to open up a lot more quickly than I thought they would. But it's been very warm here, so I said I wasn't going to look at these too long, but they draw me in. So those are the sunflower beds. And then this is an 8 foot by 4 foot raised bed that I got from homedepot.com and put it up this past week. Filled the bottom with leaves and then some bagged soil. That's a moringa tree that needs to be transplanted. I have lost that thing and it's resprouted multiple times, so I'm really going to try to make more of an effort this year to take care of it because that thing is resilient. Okay, here I have some silver Yamato watermelons. Those are eucalyptus. That's a dahlia that needs to be pinched. And then I have some pumpkin on a stick eggplant spaced throughout here. Those are more silver Yamato watermelon. There's a couple marigold at the front here. That's another dahlia. I was very unsuccessful with trying to grow dahlias last year, so I'm more determined to try this year. Some of these are from cuttings, and then that one is a tuber. There was a tuber there, in there, but they are looking pretty burnt, so I'm not sure if they'll make it. But then there's a roselle there and a roselle there, and I'm hoping that once the roselle are big, they'll kind of provide a little bit of shade for the dahlias and the watermelons from the afternoon UV rays. I have some Spanish lavender back there, more roselle against this wall. Please don't mind the compost pile. And then that is a currant bush. This wall retains heat way more than I anticipated when I put that here. And so midday, this is completely wilted. So I'm hoping that these roselle can kind of block it and block this portion of the wall to give the currant a little bit of relief midday. And yeah, it won't flower or fruit until next year because this is all new wood. So that's one thing I've learned about currants, is that they fruit on second year canes or second year wood. That currant was gifted to me from someone in a gardening group I'm in. I asked if anyone grew currants out here, and they said they did, and I was asking for a cutting, and they were like, I have some canes I'm actually removing, so I'll actually give it to you. And when they said this, I was thinking, oh, the cane will probably be 1 foot, 2 foot. You know, it was a very, very long cane. And then it had the root ball attached. The cane was old wood, so it didn't have any foliage. And I thought it was gonna die, to be honest with you, because I didn't realize how hot it was against that wall. So when I planted it, it was struggling in the heat. And I didn't realize that till after the summer. But in the fall, it started to put out new sprouts, which died back in the winter, but then they came back in the spring, and they have just taken off. I put some blood meal at the base to fertilize it and watered it in, and then I mulched it, which I did not mulch it last year, so I'm learning every year. But I mulched it, and now it's doing really well except for the midday heat. So I'm hoping by creating the microclimate with the roselle, that will help it be able to withstand the temperatures midday. So right now I'm just watering the sunflowers, and I have to water these by hand. I have to water everything by hand. I don't have any kind of drip irrigation. We do have an overhead sprinkler system. I'm just wary about using it right now because I know with the hand watering, I believe that it conserves water. I might be wrong, but that's my belief right now, is that hand watering conserves water. And sometimes, normally in the summer, there are water restrictions. So if I'm used to hand watering, then it won't be that big of a deal to me to go back to that in the summer because I've already been doing that. And also hand watering helps me be aware and notice if there's any pest issues. So I'm gonna pause this for a second while I finish watering, and then I'll come back with some more of the beds. Because like I said, I don't want this video to be 40 minutes long like my last garden tour. Here's a closer look at my very first sunflower bed. I have started to plant a few more sunflowers in here, as you can see. As I've been cutting some of them out, I've been going back and just plugging in some transplants that I already had ready. And I'm trying that shredded paper mulch here to see how it does for me. I'm really hoping that it does well because shredded paper is something that I have an abundance of. There's also some paperboard mixed in there as well. But when I first started my in-ground beds, I was using a lot of dead grass clippings. But since we haven't really been watering like grass, I don't have as much as I did when I first started and there was grass. So I've been using some of the sunflower leaves as mulch, and they dry and crisp and break down really nicely. But then once they break down, I need something else. So the leaves don't last as long as the grass, but I don't have as much grass as I used to. So I'm really hoping that shredded paper mulch works out. Okay. I am going to do a montage for time's sake. So I'm going to show you some snapdragons, some zinnias that haven't bloomed yet, lettuce, my lilies, my beet bed, and my Kajari melon bed. So enjoy. Okay, so that's how things are looking. Things are growing along. Things are growing really nicely. I've interplanted a few okra plants throughout some of these beds, so you'll see those in the you'll see those popping up probably in the next garden tour. So I am going to finish watering. I still have a little bit to do, but I think this video has been a good enough length. So thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for watching. And until next time, keep learning and keep growing.